What is up, YouTube? How's it going? I'm Sparsh, and in this video we're gonna talk about classes in Python. Now I'm using Visual Studio Code here, but you can use any IDE or just simple text editor. It's not gonna matter because it's just a simple program. Now Python is an object-oriented programming language. Almost everything in Python is an object with its properties and methods. So the objects which we will declare here are going to have their properties and methods. Now a class is just like an object constructor, and you can say it's just a basic structure for creating objects. Now just like we have created functions, we use the keyword def for defining a function. For creating a class, we use the keyword class. After the keyword we can write the class name which we want to call it. So let's write name, and inside the body of class let's just declare a variable here, name, which will be a string, and let's pass it any name. Let's say Alice. Now we have created a class. Now in order to call it, we have to create its object. So the class and the class object, class methods and properties are going to be called with the help of the class object. Now to create an object, we will this is the syntax, get the name of the object. In this case I'm going to write obj, and will be equal to the class name followed by parentheses, and that's it. You just created an object for the class name. Now we can access the variables, that method, the properties that we have declared in the class with the help of this object. So we will do obj dot name. We will print the name, save it and run. So we can see that Alice is printed here. Now let's talk about the init function. So the example I just showed you are classes and objects in their simplest form and are not really useful in real life applications. And when you are going to build big projects where you have in which you're gonna have like several hundred lines of codes, these type of classes are not going to be useful. So all classes have a function called init, which is always executed when the class is being initiated. So when we initiate a class, the function init is going to be executed automatically. We use the init function to assign values to object properties or other operations that are necessary to do when the object is being created. So let's just create a class here. I'm gonna just show you how to initialize the init function and how it's going to be used. So let's create a class by the name dog, and let's pass object. Now the init is a function, and we know while defining the function we use the keyword def, and we're gonna write init, and first we're gonna write self, which I'm gonna talk about it later. Let's pass another variable, let's say name, which will be the name for dog, and let's just pass another one, age. Now we're gonna have to do self.name equals to name and self.age equals to age, and we use the self object to use these variables in the class. So let's create another function here by the name intro, and we will do self, and then we'll print. Let's use an f string here in print statement. My name is, and we're gonna pass the name of the variable here. Now we have created a class. Now we have to make an object for this class. So let's do dog equals to the name of the class followed by parentheses. Now in this parentheses we have to pass the value of name and the value of age that we have declared in the init function. So like I said, when we initiate the uh, class, the init function is going to call itself automatically. So when it's going to be called automatically, it's going to need the parameters that we have passed, name and age. So we will provide the both parameters. Let's do the name as Bruno and the age, let's say 7. Now we have created an object for our class dog, and we have provided the required parameters that are needed by the function init. Now let's uh, access the method intro. To do that, let's just do dog dot. Dot operator is used to access the methods and functions of the class by the class object. And let's do intro. Save it and run. Now you can see my name is Bruno is printed on the terminal. Now let's talk about this self parameter. Now the self parameter is a reference to this current instance of the class that we have created, and it is used to access variables that belongs to the class. So this object that we have created for this class dog, it is used to access variables that belong to the class. So the variable that belong to the class is name, and we use the self operator to access the variables. Now self represents the instance of the class. Like I've said earlier, by using the self keyword we can access the attributes and methods of the class. It just binds the attributes with the given arguments. Self is parameter in function, and user can use another parameter name in place of it. It does not have to be named self. You can just call it whatever you like, but it has to be the first parameter of any function in the class. So we can do anything. Let's just say parameter, and we can change self by parameter, and it's still gonna work because it's just the name. It has to be the first parameter of any function. Save it and run. You can see it still prints the output on the terminal. Thank you guys for watching. That's it for today.